Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. No matter the time of day or where you're joining us from, we sure thank you for being here. I'm your host, Steve Henning, and this is the Commercial Vehicle Business Network, where we cover a variety of topics, all of which are related to the commercial vehicle industry. Today, I'm joined by Kathryn Schifferle, the founder and chief vision officer of Work Truck Solutions. Kathryn, thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, Steve, I'm always very happy to talk with you for sure.
Well, I appreciate that. And we're always happy to have you on camera with us and just talking everything commercial vehicle related. I know you're one of the gurus in the space, so let's dive right into today's topic. And what I really wanted to cover with you was your recent event, the Commercial Vehicle Business Summit. And I think maybe the best place to start is if you could just give a description for our audience of what the summit's all about, since probably not everybody has been able to attend previously.
I'd actually like to back up and start a little bit further back because this was actually our 11th summit. And we started in 2021, and it came from the fact that all of the face-to-face events were canceled. And I looked around and said, I see, as I often do, I see an opportunity here. There's an opportunity because people won't be traveling and they'll be eager to stay in touch with what's going on, that we can help. And that, we're not a humongous company, but anybody, I felt, could put on a virtual event. And I will say, we took it very seriously. We hired a professional group to help us to make sure that the event was very, very professional. And we laid out about 5 hours over each of 2 days, and built a curriculum, an agenda that was focused around one thing. Now we finally got to where I'm going to answer your question, which is how what is the overall view of what's going on? So what had bothered me was that all the events were always very singularly focused. I understand why, telematics, fleet, um, upfits, um, that type of thing. And I really feel that this industry has a lot of potential to improve and help each other by looking across the whole ecosystem. And that was my goal, was to bring in experts, bring in engaged experts in different areas. And in the beginning, we worked pretty hard to have a number, I think a couple keynotes both days and panels. But what we found was that the panels were really the interesting things. And so over time, we've evolved to where we will have one or maybe two keynotes that are unique, very unique. We had one this week that was very special. I'm not going to give it away because everybody should go and look at the recording. But the panels have a makeup of a very smart moderator with different folks, like from an upfitter, from an OEM, from a dealership, from a telematics company, from a fleet, so that each one of the questions that we talk about, that we explore together, has a lot of different viewpoints, which to me is always the right way to move forward in any place, whether you're trying to look at how you're gonna grow your business, or whether you're looking at how you need to look at the environment around you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so that's great history, especially I didn't realize it was the 11th. That's kind of
Yeah.
amazing, actually. So this most recent one, the theme was, as I wrote it down at least, was from blind spots to profit centers through intelligence.
So I'll tell you how that came about.
Yeah, please.
All right. So, each of our biannual, CVB summits does have a theme, because that's what helps when you're pulling together people to talk, to give them kind of a framework, like no restrictions, but a way that you want to guide them in focusing, because otherwise it would be all over the place. So, a couple of times ago, we had, and we've had really kind of very different ones and very straightforward ones. And one of the ones that was fairly recent was connecting the dots.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that one a lot because to me, that's what I see that we're trying to do, both in the summit, but also amongst ourselves. And so as we were thinking through the evolution, because that's the other thing, our themes have been evolutions.
Sure.
When we first started off, there was a lot of focus on EVs and what was happening, and now, of course, what is the big subject that everybody isn't sure that they want to talk about, Steve?
Well, I think there's a couple. One is EVs because things have changed, but there's also a little bit that's happening in the world and the economy, I suppose.
And overarching over all of that are what is happening with AI.
I was to say two little letters. Yeah, AI.
Yeah. So we didn't want to make it all about AI though.
Sure.
So the creative project was what is it about what is AI? First of all, it's nothing if it doesn't help you in some way. And really that's helping. This is all about business. This is all about the business of the commercial vehicle space. And so business intelligence is really the focus of whatever technology we're looking at. So that's data and the AI, you know, extraction and viewpoint of it. But why? And so you know, I- it's all about the business goals. It just always is. And so we were fortunate enough that we have just recently considered our our the way that we want to deliver value to our customers, which range from dealerships to upfitters to OEMs to fleets, etc. And we realize the commonality between them all is that if they can't see if they can't see what they need to understand, they can't get to that efficiency and profitability.
Hmm.
And so that's where we came up with the term blind spots,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
And so I really like it. It's very um, kind of creative but practical.
So one of the things I was going to ask you was, were there any surprises that came from this? And what I really mean by that is, either uh, the commentary or the discussion. And I'll preface it in this manner. You talked about AI. What was maybe not surprising for me, but I think reinforcing for me was as I watched a couple of the sessions, specifically where there was discussion around AI, not only the panelists, but also I saw comments from people during the chat and even during some of the networking sessions. It seemed like, in terms of people's thought around AI, it was kind of all over the map. Some were fully embracing it. Some were saying, well, we're thinking about it and we're about to do something. Others may have said, we're in our infancy of embracing AI, but we're not sure where to take it or what to do with it. Did that surprise you at all?
No, I think we're at a pivotal point right now. A year ago, talking about AI, it would have been a little bit exotic, or tech. You're talking too much tech to me,
Right.
But over this is agentic AI has really changed
Hmm.
the way that people look at what can be done with it. And what I so I loved how well the theme of that was sort of AI, business intelligence, that combination was through every single one of the panels and presentations. And that's not always happened, Sometimes the theme was okay, and people sort of followed it. But there was other stuff going on. But this time it was really a theme for the whole 2 days. And but it like you pointed out, it has a lot of variations.
Right.
And to me, the that's the exciting thing right now, is that we know for a fact that AI has the ability to be a tool to help with repetitive, boring stuff. We know that.
Mhm.
People are starting to understand the difference between, or that whole concept that this isn't about replacing you. This is about making you better, making your work maybe even more interesting,
Mhm.
because we'd rather you use your experience in your brain rather than typing like that with just entering the number from over here to there, right? Um, so all the way from that, um, to all the way up, which to me is, how could we ever possibly connect all the silos of data that are in this industry that are critical to ameliorate the 50% inefficiency in the supply chain and the cycle of the life cycle, without something like AI? Because it's so complicated. It's not something that a human brain can nor would want to go and try and, I mean, why? Yes. The why, yes.
Yeah.
The kind of what's the most important, or, what are the results, or how are we gonna measure it? All that kind of stuff is all that stuff that has to come from a human. But
Mhm.
to actually be trying to pull it out and combine it and then, cough up the results, no.
Yeah.
So to me, and I will say, last week I was traveling. I presented at NAFA, and I also presented at CAR. NAFA, of course, being the North America Fleet Association, and CAR, the Conference of Automotive Remarketing. So, pretty different conversations, but they all carried that same theme through it,
Yeah.
of, what's the next step? How are we going to uh, leverage and gain value out of it? But more so, how can we ultimately connect these silos to help us get past where we are?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And those would be, by the way, blind spots.
Yeah, absolutely would be. Okay, so I think a good practical takeaway for the audience is really good theme throughout the summit. But if they're looking for an opportunity to hear from others in terms of practical ways that they're implementing AI, check out some of the sessions because there was lots of discussion from a variety of viewpoints.
And each of the sessions was targeted to a certain kind of
Right.
scope. So we had one that was about customer service,
Hmm.
and we had one that was definitely focused on technology.
Yes.
And we had, one that was kind of more, I guess I would say, around the concept of working together, right?
Mhm.
So, I mean, each one within it had a focus
Right.
from the theme. And so, yeah, I know that, I'm really proud that we not only do the work of bringing all this information together, but then we make it available for people who either couldn't stay the whole time or that want to, watch a particular session.
Okay, so
So,
since you mentioned that, let's throw that out there now. How can people access those recordings? What will be the step for them if they're watching this? Will there be something in this podcast, perhaps in the description, that says, "Here's the link where you can get to those recordings"?
well, Steve, I would hope that you would do
I
that.
would hope so too. I just want to make sure that we're going to have access and can share that out
Yeah.
because quite frankly, it's nice that it's virtual. It covers 2 days. Folks also have to go do their job. So if they can't check all of it out live, it's a great opportunity to go check out the recording. So I think that's wonderful. All right. I'm going to ask you a really tough question before we talk about next year's or next fall's event, not next year, but next fall. And it's almost like when somebody asks a person, who's your favorite child? Really almost impossible to answer. But the question is this.
I can answer it.
Yeah. What's your favorite session? What was your favorite session?
I I have to say, I was so proud of all the moderators this 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 particular the spring version. They all did fabulous, but my favorite is always Jim Press. And, he he's one of those people that brings two things. He brings a incredible experience of leadership and across all things,
Right.
and yet he is so humble. And
Absolutely.
and he, he guides the conversation. He never
Mhm.
lets it get out of whack. 'Cause, that can happen. And so I do. I always am sad if for some reason I can't watch it in real time and I have to go watch it because it's just so graceful, but I was very impressed. We've gotten better at identifying, good moderators, and a moderator, has a specific skill set,
Mhm.
and then also, finding, um, enough variety both in not just, what they know, but their personalities. Because that's the other thing. You can have a panel with a dud on it, and we didn't have any duds this year.
Boy,
No
not from what
duds.
I saw. Some really intelligent people and very engaging. So some terrific
Yes.
conversations. Okay. So last question for you as we wrap up here. The fall event. So I know you said these are biannual. So there's a spring and a fall. So the fall event, don't know if you've selected a theme yet, but I imagine you've at least selected dates. What's the dates for the fall 2026 commercial vehicle business
Everybody
summit?
should get their calendars out right now and, mark November 4th and 5th. We always use a Wednesday, Thursday. It always starts at 8 in the morning Pacific, 11 Eastern, and like I said, it's on average about 5 hours. We do some interesting things too, like the very first 30 minutes, and then one other time during the event, we have a, um, commercial, connection period, which is the platform allows you to do little 5-minute speed dating things where you can meet people. Somebody did ask me, just, today if there was a way to pick people, and I said, "I don't know, I have to go find that out," like, where, you could I don't know, but we've done the speed dating, and it's gotten more and more popular,
Yeah.
and it is fun. Like, 5 minutes is not a heck of a commitment, but it's enough time to know whether or not it's somebody that you'd like to do something follow-up with.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I will tell you, I think you know this, those networking sessions are some of my favorites. It's so fun and entertaining to meet new people, hear about their business, and just get a chance to chat. And coming out of
And then move on.
yeah, but coming out of this one, I've already got a couple people that I've had follow-on conversations with. So
Oh,
that's pretty neat.
fantastic.
Yeah.
That is pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, yeah, so I think, we don't have a theme yet, but we always start working on the theme, but the theme is very, time focused. So, it's not a good idea to start to decide the theme until we get a little closer because things are changing so
Boy,
quickly.
aren't they?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Kathryn, thanks so much for spending time with us. And thank you to you and Work Truck Solutions for putting on these summits. It's so nice to see that and to have that opportunity for the commercial vehicle space, for people to just get together, chat about, what's relevant, what's current, and kind of sharing ideas. It's terrific. Thank you very much.
Well, I'll pass that along to the crew who worked so hard to make it a fabulous success. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.